Hello, and welcome to My Point of View Movie Reviews. Today's review is for the brand new Netflix original movie, John Henry. Yes, the old folklore story from way back in the day about the big black man with the mighty hammer who swung it for justice and took care of business while working on a railroad, protecting his own kind. It's an old story way back in the Disney days. Disney has an animated movie about John Henry. But this new John Henry is not what you think. It takes place in modern day Compton, California. It stars Terry Crews as the title character. Also, Familia Velasquez is in this movie. You've probably seen her in episodes of Empire back in the day. And then your villain, Chris Bridges, as we like to call him, Ludacris. Yeah, the rapper. Also has another member back in the day, old school actor, Ken Foray. Now, he's been in a bunch of horror movies back in the day, and he's known for acting with his eye. His eyes always gets really big, either before he kills somebody, or when he dies, or just when he's talking on film. But other than that, there are no stars in this movie besides those four people that I mentioned. And this movie is directed by Will Forbes. I never heard of this dude. I don't know nothing about him, but I'm gonna tell you, for his first film, I'm a fan of his work now. The reason why, from a director standpoint, the camera angles, the cinematography in this film is absolutely gorgeous. Compton looks like Oz. I mean, Compton is beautiful in this movie. It's well lit. The grass is green, the sky is blue, the palm trees are tall, touching the heavens. And he shoots movies the way I like to shoot movies. Low to the ground, looking up. So everything looks big and ginormous. And Terry Crews is a big dude already, but he looks humongous in this movie. And in this movie, John Henry goes to school at Compton High School. He's a young man. He's trying to avoid getting into the gangs. But when you live in Compton too long, things just happen. He got caught up in the gangs. In order to get initiated into a gang, you got to have your first kill. Most people do it from a distance. They shoot somebody, drive by, light up a house, and boom, bounce. Not John Henry. Something went wrong. He socked this dude upside his head and then stomped his face in with his boot heel. And he realized, this is not what I want to do. This is not who I am. And he's a man of few words, but man, when he swings that hammer later on in the movie, he don't need to talk. Just beat your head in. This movie is kind of like a blaxploitation movie / 1990s black gangster movies all wrapped up into one. And I gotta say, it was enjoyable. It's only an hour and a half. It's not masterpiece theater by no means, but man, it's entertaining. The gangsters are gangster. They talk like gangsters. And you really get a really close-up look how gangsters interact with each other when they're on their own turf talking about everyday life. They're just like you and me, except they wield guns and kill people and sell drugs. And in this case, in this movie, sex trafficking. That's where your young character comes in, Familia, because they're not so much refugees, but they're from a different country. Her and her brother, over in the other countries, their parents were slaughtered. They've been running all their lives to find peace and happiness. They get to LA. They got one family member here they're looking for. She gets kidnapped. She's forced into sex trafficking with a bunch of other young Latinas. And it's a sad story. Very sad story. All too familiar. And this gang, you can recognize them by these tattoos on their hands, and every time they drive a car, they have hanging from their little light or their little mirror, this little symbol, which is the same imprint on their hand. And it's silly, it's stupid, but I get it. You know, it's not the Bloods, it's not the Crips, it's a whole new gang. They all wear white. It's kind of laughable. And Ludacris always wears purple and black, and his name is Hell in the movie. Yeah, his name is Hell. Because what he does, he walks around with a gas tank and a blowtorch and burns his victims. either till they die or disfigure them very, very, very bad. And I gotta admit, Hell has a jaw plate in his jaw that's made out of straight gold and diamonds and is protruding through his skin. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know the backstory, but it's absolutely laughable. It is funny. And the movie's trying to be serious, but there's these splashes of things in the movie that you can't take it serious. And the dialogue is very simplistic, except when the gangsters are talking. Their dialogue is funny. I mean, they had me cracking up. You actually like the gangsters in this movie. They're very likable characters, even though they're gangsters. And speaking of gangsters, this is one female that's in the gang. Oh my God. I don't know who she is, but yo, she is fine as hell. She is gorgeous. She has her hair rolled back in cornrows. There's nothing more sexy than a sister with braids. Man, I absolutely love it. But she wears no makeup, no nothing in this movie, and she lights up the screen every time she's on. Don't get me wrong, she's not there for beauty. She's there to take your ass out. She is horrifying. She will shoot you point blank dead in your head on delivery. She is frightening. So, some people come to the rescue of these young immigrants, and they're on the run, and the young lady runs underneath the porch of John Henry's house. The police come looking for everybody, but John Henry don't let nobody in his house. You know, police think they run Compton, but you got to have your story straight, and you got to know the rules of the law. And John Henry didn't let the police in his house, but he's seen the young lady hiding. He invited her in for something to eat, and then you meet his dad, played by Ken Foray. The dad is so lovable in this movie. He cracks me up. He talks crazy. He's in a wheelchair. He's very ill, very sick, but the man managed to talk a whole lot of shit. And they're getting close. John Henry's trying to talk to the lady. There's a language barrier, but his father speaks fluent Spanish. So they told the young lady she could spend the night. We'll take care of you, and tomorrow we'll try to get you to a safe place. And the next day, her cousin comes knocking on the door, looking for her. He said, hey, I noticed where you was at and everything happened. It's okay. The family's back together. Now they got to find her brother and get them safely out the country, or either they're going to stay with their cousin here in South Central Los Angeles. Then the gang is pissed off because when they broke in to take her away, they shot up a bunch of brothers. And Ludacris, excuse me, hell wasn't having it. So they went after John Henry and his family, and I don't want to spoil it, man, but a lot of horrible things happen. And John Henry does not like violence. He does not believe in wielding a gun. He never shot a gun in his life. But when they messed with his family, he had to go back to his old ways. He went into the garage. He got that gigantic hammer, walked down Compton, went into the neighborhood. Hey, man, you big as hell. What you doing here, man? Do you work for hell? No, I'm John Henry. I don't work for hell. Well, man, if you're hanging around here, you gonna get killed. He's walking down the street in broad daylight with palm trees in the background with a gigantic sledgehammer. It's so big when he walks, he's dragging it on the ground. And John Henry takes care of business. Imano. It is fantastic. Like I said, this movie, you might find it ridiculous. I enjoy the spin. I enjoy the modern day take, because I've never really cared for the story of John Henry. Man working on a railroad, singing slave songs, I don't like it at all. Not one of my particular heroes that I care for. But this take on John Henry, yeah, because I love Terry Crews. And he is toned down in this movie, because normally we see him in Friday Part 3 or White Chicks. Terry Crews is a fool. He is funny as hell. Not one joke. He talks in a somber manner, and he has one tone through the whole movie, and he says very little. But it works. Ludacris, he's not a good villain. The brother is an okay actor. He's all right in those Fast and Furious movies. Me, personally, I like Ludacris, the rapper, but I appreciate him changing up things and getting into acting. But, hey, the movie's fun. It's on Netflix. It's ranked number 2, so people are watching it like crazy. Give it a watch. John Henry on Netflix. I dare you. Or I'm going to bust you upside your head. No, check it out. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and you better tell all your friends. And leave your comments down low. Until next time, yo, it's just my point of view. Hello. Now, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Without you, there's no me. And do us a favor, stop by the website at www.blacktastic.net and pick up some merchandise. Get yourself a hat or pick up a t-shirt. It's things like that that help keep the channel going. And also, feel free to leave a donation on the home page at www.blacktastic.net. Thank you all so much. Again, you make this so much fun. Without you, there's no me. Until next time, see you later.
Don't want a complication.